Welcome back to the GLAC Studios oil painting tutorial. We are working on a large canvas painting, Radha Krishna painting. We have finished layer 4 and this is going to be the start of layer 5 on this painting. So let's quickly go over what we have done as a recap. We started on this long winding, beautiful journey with a large canvas, trying to understand the canvas, and we washed the canvas or did the first layer on the canvas. Then we were looking at possible references and how to work with them, a little bit of planning and plotting with respect to the grids, putting those grids onto the canvas, bringing that superstructure in, and then we moved on to the layer 2, which was basically, filling in those spaces, blocking those spaces and saying this is where things are going to be or people are going to be and so on. We did that and then we moved on to layer 3, which was beginning to show some kind of depth, and layer 3 was giving us some kind of shape into whatever we were doing. Layer 4 was, I understand, was a little bit more intense in that manner that, we are going into that depth and dimension in greater detail and working on every single nuance. And it must have taken, I think it took 7 hours only, or 7 classes. And I will not be surprised if we have taken a little more time than this. It does take a while, and we are getting started with layer 5. So the inspiration, I would say, for layer 5 is that we give ourselves into this painting, meaning let the painting take over. Do all that you can to do a best with this layer. I have touched upon the topic that, there is no final layer. We might go on doing 6th, 7th, 8th layer, 9th, 10th layer or so on. So there's no end to it. But I am looking forward to bringing these sessions to a close in a manner to help you understand nuances a little bit more with the layer 5. So, So you can take this layer 5 as an inspiration and maybe go on to build layer 6 or 7 and so on as well. So it's up to you. We also discussed in our sessions that these layers might not be needed also. There are people that work on one place at a time and just finalize it one go. So that's also a style of working. I am breaking down into layers because of 2 benefits. One is that it helps you understand nuances, bit by bit, one by one. That's one thing. Another thing is that layers have always helped me enhance and improvise and give that effect that I wanted. And you will get to see that in this layer, what we are going to do is not going to cover up whatever we did in. I think we have now from now understood layer 3 is also sitting underneath the layer 4, and you can, whatever is visible right now is the effect of the base layer, blocking layer 2, 3 and 4. That's what it's a summary that you're seeing. So the layer 5 is also going to complement what you did. It's going to complement what you did, and it's going to sit on top of this, meaning you will still be able to see this 4th layer through the 5th layer. And that's what happens with the 6th, the 7th, or whatever number of layers that you want to choose to work with. you might have seen the way that I work with the classes. When I begin a layer, I tend to go slow and then I'm picking up speed, pace. So it helps you also align and understand all these nuances and get to the groove of it. Yes, so we will go over something like that also in today's class, to just slow down a bit, look at things that we have missed, and also, rework on them if needed. For me, the moment I said, yes, we are done with the fourth layer, and I switched it off, then I saw, oh, I didn't. That's one obvious. So there's always something I didn't finish here. The peacock feather is missing. So there is always something to be done. And that's what keeps us on our toes when we work on such paintings. One other inspirational thing that I would like to say is that, just like the way I said, you must give in to the painting, meaning the painting should take over you. There's also this spiritual element here, that you believe in their presence and they have to take a decision to come here with you. And yeah, you might call it spirituality, you might call it any belief, any form. You can give any other name or terminology to it, but an artist, I think, who works for many hours on paintings knows it, that there is this, and especially when it comes to portraiture or something like this, that there is this personality of the painting itself that's coming. What we are creating is we are giving birth to something. So just, can we go back to the class number 1 that we sat together? We sat in front of a white board, a white canvas. And look at us, what has happened in this 22 classes. We are now in class 23, isn't it? So there is this possibility that we are able to create something out of nothing. And that isn't coming from just us. It's a lot of positive energy. It's so many things. And I would like to mention here that all these videos that you're seeing, there are people behind. We have amazing team members, Sri Vidya Motilal and Sona Nachamai, that are working relentlessly to make sure that this is coming to you. So there are so many invisible elements, that the camera cannot capture. Why do we paint? Why do we have to paint? We have technology, we have so many things available. There is so many other modes of representing art. Why are we taking on to this basic medium of oils and brushes, getting our hands dirty and so on? Why do this? There is some energy that we are developing. So let's just respect all that is not seen in front of the camera, and then give in to that energy to help us go to the next step. With that positive note, let's get started with today's session. Okay, today's session is going to be to start with the layer 5, and I'm going to start with Krishna's face, surprise. And then we will move on slowly and steadily to Radha's face as well, and come down to the clothing. I think the same order that we followed. One thing I would like to tell you in my case is that the canvas is still wet. From many angles, it is still wet, and the garland space is still wet. So one other equipment that I use, when I have to go near and I'm not able to place my hand anywhere, is that I have always stick like this. It's a, yeah, I'm not going to hit anyone. So this stick like this, it's a store-bought one. I don't think I invested much in any of the uh, uh, equipments. I have, this is what do you call, the one that you use for floor, the floor mop. You get additional pieces like this in stores. Yeah. So it's made of wood and you could use anything that is convenient for you. I keep it around so I'm able to roll and place my hand, rest my hand wherever I want and keep working on it. So this is something that you might see me taking, and this is something new that I wanted to touch base as material. I wouldn't really say that it is needed if you have waited for a while and the whole canvas is dry, then yeah, it is fine. Some people are okay using just the fingers and you will not be resting your hand somewhere. But also keep in mind that it might, hurt your arm more if you are not basing your hand somewhere, resting your hand somewhere with many hours of work. That is the new thing that I wanted to introduce, that you might see me taking in and out more, more number of times. And with respect to the materials, yes, we looked at one new, not a material, but a support mechanism. The paints are all going to be the same. There is linseed oil and yeah, everything is almost the same. So I'm not going to go into the details of it. We will go over them as we come along. One common thing you will see, remember I always mention that, use less of oil medium, very less, even no oil medium is good. You might see me taking little more oil here and blending more, but it's also a balance. You don't want it to be dripping all the way into the painting in so many other places. So you will see me taking a little more oil, and I will tell you shortly why and how. Yes. So to start with, I'm going to work on the face and body of Krishna. I have the picture with me in the hand. Few things that I wanted to build on is that, I will bring some more light into his face first, and then I want a little more of the smile. I want him a little more smiling, and maybe the blush. I will try to add a little bit of crimson there, if possible. That's one thing I had in mind. And then I will start in the forehead. In the pictures, you will see that there is this. There's a lot of work on his forehead. So he also wears a kind of bindi, yeah. But it's called, it's got 3 lines. The white line, or it could be having a white line and a U shape or something like that. But I will take a look at, or just a simple U shape itself is good in this picture. I think I'm looking at the combinations here. I think this is nice enough for this. In all 3 references, I'm looking at the ones. This reference has a lot of elements that's slightly, too much, I would say. I would keep the U and that very simple single white line and so on, and the dot. Yeah, we will try to do something like that on top of it. So, and then we never drew his eyelashes, so that's also there, isn't it? So we will work on some nuances and possibly also work on his hair. In the last time you saw that, I was coming to the hair maybe towards the end of it and so on, but we will work on that as well in this class. So that's going to be the case. Yeah. So it is going to be quite a bit of work, but at the same time, just see that whatever you have is going to exist, meaning you're going to just top it up and not erase everything and put another face altogether here. So let's keep that in mind, and that's why the translucence, meaning a little bit more of the oil that we are going to use. So I am going to take, now I move the camera down to the palette so you get to see what I have. I have titanium white here, and I need burnt umber that's also here, so I'm not taking them. I need Prussian blue. I'm just checking if I have some here left over. Otherwise, I will be taking them too. I think I have enough Prussian blue from previous sessions. So I'm not taking anything from the tubes. So what I have is a little bit of Prussian blue, titanium white, and burnt umber. So I'm going to take Prussian blue, and I have dipped it in oil and then mix it with the titanium white to the level that it gets really lightened. I want to see the kind of light color that we have. Can I have an even more lightened version of it? So I'm just lightening it up. This is the lightened version, or can I have a little more of white there? Yes, because I want to create those brightness and the depth. Yeah. So the light and the dark is what I'm going to play with, and I'm going to add a little more of oil. So a little more doesn't mean, so if you see, it's only a few drops that I'm adding here using the tip of my own brush. So that's the light. I'm going to touch it to just see how light it is. It can be one more step lighter, I think. So I'm going to add a little more. I'm testing with what we have. This color is exactly the color that we already have in my canvas. So I want it one more step lighter. And that's why I'm adding a little more of the white. And why do I want it one more step lighter? I did mention just now that I want the brightness to come out of his face. And for that, I'm going to add a little more of that white. Added. Done. So it is slightly lighter. I'm basically putting it on his tummy to see. Can you see that I just put a dot here? So if I just do a little bit more, can you see that there is this? Yeah, it is slightly lighter. This is exactly what I wanted, and I think I have the color needed to work with. For the darker version, I think I'm going to use a brush number 1. Same Prussian blue. Let's go back to the Prussian blue. I'm going to mix a little bit of that with burnt umber. Have a slightly darker version of that. So it's Prussian blue and burnt umber here. It's giving a bluey black. It's giving a bluey black. And this is the darkest of this. So I have got only 2 color tonalities. I'm going to play around with them, highlighting some places and playing around with that. Yes. So keeping this brush away, I'm going to play with the light first. I need the picture for reference a little bit. And always have a bit of tissue, clean cloth or something to wipe off, because the brush, you might be using most of it, brush numbers 0, 1 or micro brushes. in the upcoming session. So don't be surprised that I'm just switching between these brushes, and the other brushes are just gone for a toss. So be mentally prepared for that. If you want, you can have many number of many brushes that are the same size to replace. Otherwise, keep a cloth to wash, wipe, or something like that. Yes. Remember, we want to build our own story here. So enough of references. You can double check on few things, elements, but try to use your own. I am going to put that on his forehead and blend it in. Even though the space is dry, I am blending in with my finger here to show you that it will go and sit along with the layer 4. Because we have added a little more of oil, it will blend in. So it's layer 4 that is still visible. It is just getting brighter here in the areas where I am putting them in. Yeah, that's going to blend in, and that's why I said it helps to have a tissue paper along to wipe off any excess in your own brush, and use the same brush. If you don't want to use your finger, use the earbud. Sorry. Use the earbud also. That's a good idea. So I'm just making him come out in terms of the brightness. Yes, I'm just making his face slightly more glowy, and I'm only touching on the spaces where I want that where I want the highlights to come. So it's the place where the cheek is, the flesh is, to be precise. Yeah, so blending it in, blend it when in the places. It will help you blend in very slowly. A 0 brush is definitely more than enough for this work. So slowly, steadily blend it in. Blend in the forehead ever so nicely. Okay. And also the tip of the nose, I want it to be, I want that to shine, come out. Yeah. The nose bridge, that's also a very tiny spot. You can use a micro brush if you feel like. I'm just continuing with my 0 brush. It is fine for me. I'm just able to do that, and this is fine for me. Yeah. So yes, the nose bridge is brightened. Yes. So right now this is going to be slightly risky, but I have a bit of crimson with me, a touch of crimson. Remember the crimson that we used for the flowers in the previous session. So I'm going to take a bit of crimson and just dip that in here on his cheek, and I'm going to blend it in right away. Not too much, a slight bit of it, and then you blend it in right away. It gives because it's got this the titanium white is already here with the blue. Everything is going to help. So just blend it in such a way that it doesn't look totally blushy. We want his cheek to look slightly blushed, in love and happy, but not too much. So you can take the color off if you think it's got too much of it. Krishna is this representation of pure love. So we just want him to be shining through like that. Yeah. I'm going to blend in one more bit of this titanium white and blue that we mixed. Yeah. Just to top it up and blend it into. So we are doing, can we see that? Can I say this is a layer 6 also I'm doing on top of it? So I've just layered them and lightening it up. Yes, that's what I'm trying to do here. So you can see the difference already on the a bit more of titanium white to blend that in so it turns even pinky. We have that taken care of. Now I'm going to go with the bluey brown that we made. I'm going to just slip it in on the, remember the baby hair area? I'm going to slip it in there so we could work on it. Slip it in also in the places where you want the highlight to, be pronounced. So I'm just slightly tweaking the angle of the smile here. So he looks slightly more on the smilier front. Tweak to his smile. Check. Baby hair area covered. We will have to work on the baby hair also. And also the neck area. Covered. Blending in the colors. Yes, he looks slightly brighter than where we started today. So that's exactly what I wanted, and I have the smile, and that's helpful. I'm going to take the micro brush, use the burnt umber. It could be the burnt umber mixed with blue or the burnt umber itself, doesn't matter. Because I have to define the lip line one more time. Seeing where my finger can be placed. Luckily this part of my canvas is dry, so I'm not going to use the stick. I am just going on working on that lip line, giving that, yes, giving the touch. I think this is working fine. I'm going to do the eyebrows one more time with this color, defining them slightly better because it was missing in the previous session, from the previous session. So that's done, and it's still the burnt umber slightly mixed with the Prussian blue. Yeah, doesn't matter. I think this helps right now because that's also very close to what we did. We mixed ivory black and burnt umber, isn't it? So I'm doing the eye one more time, and now I'm going to get started with the eyelashes as well. Let's see how are we doing here. Yes, starting with the eyelashes, I'm just going on. I am adding, we don't want too many eyelashes, but we want some to just be, showing enhanced. Huh? So not too much, but, slightly defining those contours and slight bit of eyelashes in the under eye area also. So it's all really micro level detail, but it's going to help us define that space nicely and also, finish that eye. Okay. So we have that. The Prussian blue and burnt umber that we have in this micro brush, if we add a little bit of titanium white to that, it is on the darker platform still, but it is slightly lighter. I can show you what I have here. So this is the color. I just added a tad bit of titanium white to that. And this color is going to help me define that eye as well. So I'm just going to use it on the iris. So I'm just giving one slight, kind of giving a bluish gray look in the eye. Yes. These are minor details, but look how pronounced the eye becomes with all these minor details. Also, we want a tad bit of those white highlights, the same lightest color that we used for the skin. I'm going to take the same, because it's so dark here, I want that very, very tiny light highlight of the eyelashes. Why do you do that? Eyelashes are black or can be, burnt umber, but why the white? Why the white? Ah, yes, I think some of you have got it already. It's so simple. It's catching the light. So you're giving that lightness also there and blending. You don't have to blend it, but you just make sure that it's not too much. I think I have a little too much here, so I'm just going back with that burnt umber and adjusting here. So it gets that, light. Look at that eyelash and look at that detail there. We have it all done nicely. It looks good. Let's use that crimson. I want to add a little bit of vermilion and crimson. Vermilion mixed with crimson, it's giving you another type of red that is not so pinky, but it's on the darker end. I want to use that so I can show that color here. So it's just a little bit of vermilion mixed with crimson here. Doesn't look so different at all. It is just the darkest version. That is a good combination to use for his lip. Okay. Right. Okay, I think that looks good. I'm going to take a little bit of that white and blend it in here inside the lip so it gets that shine, yes. There you go. We have the shine on the lip. On the under lip, can we do the shine on the upper lip also? The upper lip gets a tad bit of that shine as well, isn't it? So not too much, but a tad bit of the shine. It's all minor details. It makes tons of difference. You'll be surprised. So the smile is now intact. I'm just checking the smile. Should I do a little more of this blue here to blend in here and make sure that the smile is intact here? And then I can build on this line. Yes. Okay. I think we took care of the smile. One more touch and we should be there. Yeah. Yes. He looks fine. And so that was his face. There we do. How are we doing with the time? We're doing good. Okay. So what do we work on? So this is still wet. We are going to work on his. We call it a namam, or something that's on the forehead. I do not know if I talked about bindi. We give a lot of importance to this forehead, and especially the spot in between the eyebrows. And you will see Indian women wearing something in between their eyebrows also. This is the spot that's called also Ajna Chakra. And it has to be covered, or not necessarily covered. It just attacks a lot of energy, and I think it has to do with a lot of positive energy that we want that to be either covered or filled with that vermilion or some color, something to represent there. So it's got a lot of meanings, but one of them is that the chakra. It's a matter of wisdom that we really give importance to. So I'm going to give first. So this is still wet from the blue that we worked on. I'm going to give the center dot first. And I did that in pure vermilion with a micro brush. Pure vermilion with micro brush. And I'm going to go around and give this nice U shape to it. Around. Ever so lightly with the micro brush. So that is done. And I will take a bit of titanium white in micro brush. And from that dot in the center, I'll just go up with it with a center line. I think that is it. So that's exactly what I have done. Yeah. So a very thin white line in the center. Yes. His smile is intact. We worked on his eyebrows and eyelashes. Do we need to do a little more with the eyelashes? I always want to do more, but yes. So because we have given this nice contour to the edges, can we do that again? So this color that we had, the darker color tonality that we had with us, which was a mix of Prussian blue with burnt umber. We could go on in the sides one more time. Okay. And now we could start building those baby hair. Baby hair. It is baby hair. So it's going to be a micro brush. You take burnt umber mixed with Prussian blue, burnt umber mixed with the ivory black. It's your choice. I am not going to stop you from that. But just build on very, very tiny, hairline around. We don't want it to show so strongly around. We want it to just come out so ever so lightly, so it doesn't look like it's it's fixed there. The hair is fixed there. So we want to show ever so light strokes coming from those directions, so it doesn't look doll-like. Slight bit. Yes, we have managed that. We use the same color tonality on the edges of the hair. So we are going around, defining that hair space with that micro brush. I'm mixing a little bit more of this burnt umber and Prussian blue. On the hairline also. So I want that to be defined clearly now. That's fine enough. And now I go back to wiping off the brush always helps. Even if I have not mentioned it, please remember when you're switching between one color to the other, always keep your brush clean. And I'm going to take a bit of this, titanium white mixed with a slight bit of Prussian blue. I want to use that as a highlighter in some of those, strokes in the hair. So I'm making really minor strokes there on the hairline. It's not even visible for you. I am blending them with a bit of burnt umber and so on. So it doesn't even show up so strongly for you, but that minor detail is just giving a little bit of reality to this reality element to this picture, because I've added that stroke there. There is this light falling, isn't it, on the hair as well. So I'm just using that. You can use the pure titanium white as well, but be sure to blend it in. We don't want it to show totally whitey white. Yeah. So that's something we need to be careful about. I'm taking a bit more of this burnt umber and blending that in sections. Again, for the blending, I'm only using the micro brush. Okay. Yes. So there you go. I think I have the angles done. I'm just doubly checking here. on the lip, just to be sure. I'm still a bit concerned about how the smile is. I want the smile to be so perfect. Maybe it's just me wanting to, yeah. And I think there's one thing I would like to suggest on the smile is that I'll just give this tip between, yeah, this place where both the lips are ending, that corner. I want to give a minor dot there, so that'll help even enhance the smile. You can give it a slight stroke also, that helps. So it's a very slight thing, but then it helps, yes. So he is now there. I feel his presence. That's good. And I'm just going to check on the ear part of this shade because that looks slightly different, even though the ear is set very slightly visible. That space, I'm just using the burnt umber mixed with Prussian blue to fix. And I think this angle also needs to have that touch. I want a little bit of light catching on that, angle of his cheek. So I'm going to go ahead boldly and take a bit of this titanium white mixed with a little bit of Prussian blue, the lighter shade that we made. I'm going to use it in the micro brush and just go around that line ever so lightly. And give that angle there. Okay. So ever so lightly, I'm just making that angle there. Yeah. Be very careful with that because it's a, it's a balance. You don't want it to show like a contour line. I'm blending it off and using a little bit of burnt umber mixed colors to make that space. But then it's a minor detail, but again, works in showing that. So now we have this color. We can go over the same colors on the contours of the body as much as we can. Can we do that? With a zero brush, I'm going to go around with the lightest color that we built on, in putting them in the shoulder area, a little bit, chest area, not in all places, just see where you want the light to come around. Yeah, a little bit here. And maybe on the body, I don't want it to happen in every place. And the place where I place the hip, yeah, so I'm just moving the camera closer to this angle. So you can say that I'm just wanting to show that hip line, blending it in nicely. So the light is catching here nicely. So this is a very light, so it doesn't mean now you would have understood that I'm not covering entire space with the layer. I'm just building onto the places where I think I can highlight or build in depth. And playing around with it. So can we build depth now? We have the Prussian blue and burnt umber. I'm just going to build that on the side one more time. And then build a depth around the jewelry area. ever so lightly go around that. Be careful with the oils. You don't want it to spoil anything that you have done. You want it to go around, so you want to use a little more than usual. That is right, but understand that it could go risky, so just be careful with it. And I'm going to go around this place where we did the white. Be very careful. This is the garland area, so again, in my case, I have smudged a little bit. I have already cooked up a little bit. I'm not going to test with any other brush. I'm going to go with a 0 brush. Go around building that darker tonality here, creating the depth here. Blending it in, not too much of color, only the tip needs. So you will be going back and forth with your brush. It might be like, there's a lot, but just enjoy the process. The more you have in your brush, the riskier it gets on the canvas. That's why it's okay. You can go back again and again. You don't want to spoil the places where you have done amazing work already. Yeah. Okay, see that I have already created that and blended it here. Blend it in. It'll go, even doesn't matter that it is dry or wet, it will just blend in because we have used a little bit more of the oil. It's going to speak. So there you go. I did this section. I'm going to do, I don't want too much shade on other side of it. I think we have a little bit, and I will use sporadically in some places where I think I will need the shade to show, but otherwise I don't think I'm going to do too much of it. I will just use it sporadically. I want it to feel like the flower is overpowering, it's coming out, and that's why you cannot see much of the shadow. So I want that feel to be there. That's why not too much on the other side. Likewise here, this side is more visible, and the other side on the shoulder is not visible to us. So keep that idea intact and keep on going with it. Yes. Also the shadow from the jewelry you want to create a tad bit. So all that. Here a little bit of it. So the body is done almost. I'm wiping off clean. Checking if I've wiped off clean. Before I want to touch and blend a little bit here with the lighter color. I think it's blended in here nicely. It's blended in here nicely. Yes. So it's looking slightly on the brighter side. This darkness around the neck I think looks fine. I don't want to touch on it again. I'm convinced with it, so I'm not going to do too much. I want a little bit of the titanium white to come up here on the navel area. So that will give that, and then the darker color here on the navel. So that gives that navel effect. Does it work? Fine. Can we now move on to the hands like this? So we do the same thing, the lighter color tonality. I am moving the camera slightly around. So you get to see this part of the hand. The lighter color tonality is going to go here. That's where the space is. And I will use tiny bit of it on the rims of the finger. I think that's it. I will stop with that colors and I'm going to wipe off, blend it in. Don't want too much of that. I think I might take off a little bit away. I have too much. The finger always helps for me. It works for me like magic. And I'm going to blend it in here on the fingers as well. Fair enough, that's where the light is catching. And now for the darker tonality, I'm using the zero brush again with this to blend here. I think this is fair enough. I don't want to touch too much of that. I'm blending in a little bit of that dark tonality on the hands edge, but blending it in again. Yes, maybe a little bit more of the lighter tones. Yeah, fair enough. Looks fair enough. Now I'm just looking at the way the fingers are denoted. Do we have anything to work on? Correct. In my case, I do not see much of a change. I'm just going to make sure the definitions are done clearly. Here, I'm using the micro brush to make sure that the finger lines are blended in nicely with the Prussian blue and burnt umber mix color in my micro brush. Yeah. I think it looks okay now here. This hand seems to me in the right frame. Okay, I accidentally mixed a bit of cream there. This is still wet from previous session, so I'm just blending that in here and adding a bit of blue, Prussian blue there to counter the accident. It happens, so just be calm in case you have any minor mistake done. So just keep in mind that you have put in a lot of effort. Minor mistakes do happen, so just take it patiently and work with it. Take a break if you feel like and work with it. Patience really helps. Yes. So we have managed to do this hand, and I'm going to just move over the camera to the other hand. In here, the same logic, I'm going to use a lighter scale in some of the places. Wiping off my brush clean to take a little bit of that blue. The lightest blue, I'm going to use them here. I want to see that this is the part, this is the part, and this part is getting the light. And when we move up here, the hand gets the light and the fingers do get a little bit of light here in the strokes. So I have just marked them, and now I'm going to blend them in. So not all places necessarily need such highlighting or such, detail. So you just take a call on where do you want to highlight and how much you want to blend. Yeah, where. So do that. Blending it in. Blending the lighter strokes here on the hand. And the finger. Right. Okay, so we have that, and I'm going to do a tad bit of micro brush with Prussian blue burnt umber to just go over the finger sections. I think most of them are clear, but some elements can be defined a little better, I think. So I'm just trying to do that. Blending it in on those sections, not making them totally show up. And remember the shadow caused by the bangles, you want to have that also done. So I'm using the zero brush to go over that spot. We have a shadow here also, but not too much. I guess it looks fine here. Just wanted to give that sharp angle of the elbow there. Pretty much fine here, I think. Yeah, I'm okay with that section. I'm going to go to the foot. Then we are done with today's session. Yes. Yeah, let's just move down to the foot. Where do we lighten up? Now you must be a pro already. Yeah. With the light blue, I'm going to lighten up right here. And also right here, not too much on the fingers or the toes. A tad bit here. And let's do this angle also. This foot. A tad bit here. Yes. Taking the excess out. Blending it in. Blend with the fingers, blend with the brush, blend with the earbud, anything that is comfortable for you. Blend it in. Okay. In this case, I don't see the need of much of, because we did darken the space. In my case, I don't see the need of taking the darker tonality, but still I think I will use a tad bit of that maybe. Going back to the darker tonality, the burnt umber, and giving that effect here. It's already there. I think we did enough in our previous. So remember I said, when you do the layer 4, if you'd have done a good job, the next layers become much more easier. That you're only focusing on the places where you want to show depth and more, and you're able to, come to that level. I'm using the micro brush now. These finger lines seem to be done appropriately. Not too many changes, but quite a bit of this, borderline that I would like to define of the toes. Use only the tip of the brush. Okay, this toe is done, and I'm going to move on to the other foot. It might look like, oh, what have I done? It's just minor details here and there, but every minor detail is going to matter here now. Yeah. Yes, we are done with the shading and so on. Okay, that is fine. I think I am done with this. Let's now take a look, make a stop and take a look. So today's session, we started with the layer 5. And layer 5 was a bit of fun, provided, we have done a good job in layer 4, I think. Otherwise, it's a lot of adjustment, yes. We did have to do slight adjustments. What have we done? To recap, yes, we had to make the smile a little bit more smilier. Not too much, a little bit more. So we just made him smile a little more. And then when we did the, layer 5, we made sure that he was blushing a little bit. So a tiny bit of crimson was going into his cheeks. And then we used the burnt umber mixed with Prussian blue also to do a little bit of the baby hair. Tiny, tiny, tiny. Eyelashes, tiny, tiny. And then we highlighted a little bit on his body as well. We can go on highlighting a little more if we want. There's no stop to it, yeah. So it's up to you where you want to show more shine or so on. So it's up to you to build on that and keep on building on that. So that's. But just be sure what was the learning is that we need to blend it and it should look natural. We don't want it to look totally, haywire. So keep a balance and see where you can possibly highlight a little more, maybe highlight it a little more. That's what we learned in layer 5. Welcome back to the layer 5, and we are going to continue this journey doing in the next session. We will work on Radha's body as well in the same way, giving her a little more enhanced details and so on. And then we will move on to the other parts going around. And somewhere down the line, we'll have to work on the peacock feather that's still not there. I have kept that in mind. Yes, I know that it's incomplete without that. People won't accept it. He is a fan of the peacock feather. We're going to have that also. Thank you very much for joining in and watching. Do share your comments, criticisms, worries, feedback, any questions. Also pictures at support@theglazestudio.dk. You can also request for a private or a Zoom call or a Teams call if needed, if you think you're way off the line. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.